Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on our monthly meeting call. With me today is Jason Brocardo, one of our senior engineers. Jason, can you say hi?
Hello.
And I hope everyone can see my screen. Jason is also going to keep me on track here. If you can't hear me or see anything I'm talking about, Jason, let me know. If anyone does have questions they want to raise, I will try to answer those or juggle those questions. You can, I believe, raise your hand in the meeting, and I'll try to keep an eye on that. So first thing I want to mention is next week, many of us here at Forget Computers are going to be at the Jamf Nation User Conference in Minneapolis. And this conference is, as it says right here, the world's largest rally of Apple IT administrators. So I believe, Jason, from what I understand, this is the largest get-together of Apple admins in any one location, correct?
Potentially, I don't know if Jamf marketing is expanding things, but it's possible. It is one of the larger conferences that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've done the rounds of all the conferences in one year, but this is certainly one that gets bigger and bigger every year. In fact, it's gotten so big they've had to move it to a new location. So we're going to be there. Jason and I are going to be there. Christopher Shea is going to be there. Nathan Ramseth, who lives in Minneapolis, is going to be there. And of course, the rest of our team will be here in Chicago manning the desk. If you have any questions, continue to reach out to us. I also wanted to just briefly mention we are a sponsor of the user conference. We have a product that hopefully all of you are familiar with called Dashboard. And Dashboard is used not only developed and used by us here at Forget Computers, but it's used by other IT companies as well. And so we have a presence there where we're going to be hopefully sharing what we know about Dashboard, both on stage and at our sponsor booth. Okay, I want to mention High Sierra 10.13. This is Apple's latest operating system. If you haven't heard of it, I'm sure you will soon. You may even be prompted by your computer, by Apple, to upgrade. And today, Jason confirmed this, but we would recommend you not upgrade, correct?
Correct. There are incompatibilities with Apple things, Jamf things, Adobe things, lots of things with 10.13 just not playing nice because of changes that Apple made essentially to the guts of the OS and how it operates, and other security restrictions that Apple's implemented that interfere with third-party software.
Yeah, and I have upgraded. I've got two computers at home, one that my high school kids use for homework, and at least that's what they're supposed to be using it for, and my wife has a notebook. And I did upgrade both of those, and you know, they're not having any issues, but obviously that's not in a office environment. They don't rely on those machines, you know, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week or more to get things done. And there's just a lot more that goes into an office environment that, frankly, in our experience, it can take several months before an operating system like this is ready for the office environment. So we're looking at realistically early 2018 before we can strongly encourage people to upgrade. The downside is Apple will probably, if they haven't already, start shipping brand new computers with 10.13. So that's going to force your hand. If you need a new computer and you buy a new computer anytime soon, there's a very good chance it will ship with 10.13. Although I don't think we've seen that yet, right, Jason? Have we seen? I mean, maybe we haven't seen any new Macs come in the past week or two.
Not yet. I mean, it's only been about a month since 10.13 was released to the public, and so far we haven't seen any newly shipped machines. But as Apple works through their inventory, that's bound to pop up at some point.
Yeah, and downgrading a machine is not an easy task, and in some cases cannot be done based on the model. So if you are buying a new machine, you know, please reach out to us. If you're making any technology changes, reach out to us so we can help you best prepare for that. Let's see, I can't go a single meeting without mentioning security, and I want to mention it briefly again here. I read something that was I think very very good advice, and that is ex-employees, people you terminate, people you let go, people who leave your company, can lead to security breaches. Before the cloud, most of tech went through IT. So the only way to get to in and out of access to company data was through IT. But with cloud today, cloud services and what a lot of people call shadow IT, where basically people take it upon themselves to turn things on and off. You have a bit of a sprawl where not every department or every person in a company knows what other people are doing. So they may simply forget to tell IT that somebody has left. And so I just want to remind people that if you terminate somebody or somebody leaves your company, reach out to us so we can make sure that your data does not walk out the door with them, because most people don't want that to happen. And in fact, I want to remind everyone, we put together a great security program for our customers, both large and small. And if you see issues that you think could be improved in your environment around security, reach out to us. We can help you with this. And it's a great program, and it builds on what's called security awareness. Security awareness is a hot topic these days, and that simply means educating your employees on what it means to be secure. Okay, that's my little soapbox on security. And speaking of end of the year, which we're getting toward, believe it or not, I want to talk about how the end of the year gets very busy for everyone, for us, for our clients. We've got the holidays, we got fewer days to get things done, and oftentimes we have people who want to finish projects that maybe we've been talking about all year. They want to get those done by the end of the year. So get those to us sooner rather than later, as soon as you can. And we have a form. Everyone who's a Forget Computers client should have access, or does have access to, forms both online and through self-service. I'm currently only sharing my web browser, so I'll stay in the web browser for now. But if you go to our forms page, either online or through self-service, at the bottom you will see Tech Plan. And Tech Plan is a great way, if you're planning on doing anything at the end of this year or even early next year, is just fill out this form. It'll create a case in our system, and it'll give us at least a building or a framework for what to do next and what questions to ask. We can reach out to you and have that conversation. So I encourage everyone who has any plans at all to do upgrades, fill out this form as soon as possible so we can get you on our schedule. Also, we have a new form as of yesterday, and that is the feedback form. Obviously, you could send us feedback at any time through support@forgetcomputers.com, but we wanted to create a form to make it, to encourage people to send us feedback. So if you have any feedback at all, please do that here, or send us an email to the support desk. Let's see, a few other things I just want to mention before we end this is some old software that's going basically beyond support. 10.9, macOS 10.9 and older is no longer being supported. And that's because the tools that we use are no longer being updated to work with those operating systems. So that means we're still doing 10.10, 10.11, 10.12, and even the new 10.13, which we technically are trying to support, but we would discourage you from using that. Jason, is there anything else we should mention? Or I know we would encourage people, I think, to be running 10.12 today, maybe 10.11 at the oldest.
10.10, 10.11. Apple, usual policy is that they will provide security updates to things like Safari and iTunes, the sort of the built-in applications, N-2. So if the current version of the operating system is 10.13, they'll still be issuing updates generally for 10.12 and 10.11. So 10.10 just kind of passed out of support with the release of 10.13 last month. But it was still fairly stable OS. The Adobe apps are going to run on it. but anything less than 10.10 we would not really recommend. And as we go forward into the year, the new security exploits come out and Apple has to patch those. 10.10 is going to get farther and farther out of the supported realm. And then, as Ben mentioned, our tools, the tool set that we use, 10.6 and 10.7 support has gone away. 10.8 and 10.9 is probably going to be going away soon, just based on where we see things are at.
If you want to quickly see where your office is, go to your dashboard, go to devices and generate a report. And the report is going to give you an OS you can sort by. Now in this case, I have iOS in here, so let me do that again. I'm going to click on Mac. And this is our public demo, so this is not an accurate report for our office. It's just a demonstration. But if we go into the OS, we can see we've got a lot of 10.12 machines, and then we get into 10.11, 10.10, 10.8. So we have a real mix here, and this is where you can view what you're running. And if you want to upgrade or have any questions, once again, reach out to us. Speaking of dashboard, when you're in the dashboard, I would highly recommend going under your name to My Profile and selecting Subscribe to Weekly Report and just clicking Save. And that will send you a weekly summary of what's going on in your dashboard, so you can keep an eye on your devices and, once again, ask questions or bring to our attention anything that doesn't look right. Okay, in addition to 10.9 no longer being supported, Microsoft Office 2011 is no longer supported. 2011 has been out for well over 6 years now, and it has been retired and replaced by 2016. Office 2016 is part of Office 365, and that can get very confusing. But essentially, if you're still running Office 2011, I would encourage you to reach out to us so we can help you get on a supported application. And what that means is Microsoft is no longer providing security patches for Office 2011, and there's a good chance Office 2011 will not work or not work well in 10.13.
Microsoft stated that it won't. It's not supported in 10.13.
Okay, it won't. Okay. And does it work in 10.12? I mean, I think it sort of does.
It does, just because Microsoft up until August was releasing compatibility fixes for it, but now that they've expired and end of life the software, there will be no further updates for security, bug fixes, anything.
Okay, great. So we're just about out of time. The way these meetings work is we spend the first 15 minutes focused on Forget Computers, and the last 15 minutes focused on Robot Cloud. Anyone who's joining us right now is welcome to stick around and listen to the entire recording, and we will post the recording hopefully in a few days. It took us a little longer last time. In fact, if you want to listen to the recording from last month, I included it in the email invite, but you can also go to our website, and we probably need to find a better place to put this, but it's under events, and there's a calendar of events. Here's today, obviously. If we go back to last month and click on last month's meeting, here's the recording, here's the summary of what we talked about, and we'll do the same for this meeting when we get the recording posted. It'll go, well, that's not it. It will be in October. And next month's meeting, 1, 2, 3, it's the third month, third week, 1, 2, 3, 17th. So 17th of November, a week before Thanksgiving, I believe, is when we'll have our next meeting, and I need to get that on the calendar. Okay, so that let's wrap that up. Reach out to us with any questions, and we're going to move on to Robot Cloud. And just to be on time, in just 1 minute here. One last thing I want to mention to everyone is if you go to support.forgetcomputers.com, and I'm logged in, so I'm going to log out so I can see exactly what you see. This is what you'll see. You can sign in and see all of your past requests or tickets, cases, we're calling them now. You can also search our knowledge base. We have both Forget Computers and Robot Cloud knowledge bases. You can search or you can browse. And we are very active recently in posting support articles. Some of them are highlighted here, and tips and tricks. So feel free to please take advantage of that and participate. There, you can comment, you can ask questions, and we'll of course try to answer those as best we can. Okay, moving on to Robot Cloud. I want to start by saying thanks to customer feedback, we've made improvements to our storage capacity alert. The storage capacity alert tells us when a hard drive is full, and we don't use Time Machine, we use CrashPlan Pro, but we had a handful of clients who were using Time Machine, and we were getting complaints that, why are you telling me that my Time Machine backup is full? Because Time Machine, at least in theory, does its own self-pruning. Is that right, Jason?
Correct. So the way that, just built into how it works is it should go and prune older backups. It's going to depend on the size of the drive and how many backups you have, but figure, 6 months old, year old, it will start to get rid of the oldest so that you can always have a current set of backups.
And so what we did was we said, well, let's not report on Time Machine backups. So if a hard drive is, and here we posted this here under a comment for our storage device nearly full notification. If the volume is named Time Machine 2 words or Time Machine 1 word, we will not alert on that. So if Time Machine is called anything else, we would ask that you either call it Time Machine or give us additional feedback on what you'd like us to safe list or whitelist so that we're not alerting on those devices. Let's see, we also have, I'm going to change my sharing here. And I'm going to share self-service for 1 minute. So I think that would be better. Let's see, self-service. Let me get it opened. And let me reshare my screen. Here it is. Okay, so this is self-service. Everyone who's part of Robot Cloud or Forget Computers would have self-service. And one of the problems we ran into recently was we had some clients using Outlook as their default, or wanted to use Outlook as their default email application, but they did not have any Apple Mail accounts. And the only way to set Outlook as your default email application was to log into Apple Mail, and not just open Apple Mail, but you had to actually have an account in there so you could get far enough in to set the default email client. And obviously that's very time consuming and very frustrating. So there is what's called a terminal command, a method of doing that through the terminal, and we just built that into self-service action. So you can now set Outlook to your default email application with 1 click and set that here. Anything else to add to that, Jason?
Well, Ben, do we want to talk about the Robot Cloud Promote or the Robot Cloud Admin?
Yeah,
since we have self-service open?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the way that self-service works is everybody is going to be presented with, we have a bunch of free applications and, the Adobe installers, things like that, but not everything is available to everyone. Just because most people don't need to install Photoshop every day or don't need to uninstall Microsoft Office every day, but to still give you the ease of use of sort of the 1-2-click one-stop shopping that you get with self-service, we have self-service kind of split into two parts. So there's the regular self-service, and then you can do the promoted self-service. And the way that you trigger that is you actually have to go into the command line and issue a command, and once that command has been processed, for the next 60 minutes, self-service is going to present to you different options. Ben, I don't know if it's possible for you to share your screen, 2 different apps in the shared screen, or is it just tied to the one right now?
It's just tied to the one, but and I'm not very good at the terminal command, but I was going to switch back to Google Chrome. Well, maybe Google Chrome, here we go. And I'm going to go to robotcloud.net. And I'm going to go to software automation. And I want to point out that this page has a lot of these terminal commands that Jason's talking about. They're listed right here under command line for installing software and also for troubleshooting and maintenance. This is something we just added recently. In fact, we had it in a different document. We moved it and we failed to post it. Client mentioned it, so we got it up here. And here's the enable Robot Cloud admin. This is what Jason's talking about. Activates the full list of actions on a Mac. So why don't I do that? Well, it wouldn't be a very good demonstration for me to do because I already have a lot of these items accessible to me for testing purposes. Most people in self-service would not see all the items that I was just showing. But if you were to run this command line, it would, as Jason said, promote you and you would see everything. And is that for a period of time, Jason?
It's good for 60 minutes, and then after 60 minutes, the timer reverts the machine back to sort of the original state.
Okay.
Do you think it'd be worth it to flip the screen sharing over to me and I can show that real quick?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Let's do that. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. Jason, here you are. I'm going to make host. Are you the host?
Let's see, I'm trying to do it right now.
Yes, you are the host.
All right, are you able to see my screen?
Let me see. No, let me stop my sharing. It could be the problem. Okay, there we go. I see your screen, yes.
Okay, so here I have self-service, and this is how it's going to appear for everyone just by default. We can come in here. The Adobe apps, all I have is the option to install the Adobe menu, also called Adobe Creative Cloud Desktop Application and Adobe Flash. You look over here in the categories list, we've got about 13 things. But if I prop into the terminal, let me make this window a little bit bigger, and the list of triggers that Ben just showed, that's where that comes in. So the command is sudo, because you got to get elevated privileges. So you need to do this as an admin. Jamf, policy, and then dash event, and then we're going to put the keyword here, our trigger here. And so when I run that command, prompts for the password. Give it a second to run, and what it's going to do is on the back end, on our management server, it's going to update some things for the machine and the user who's running it. And it's going to essentially tell self-service, next time you check in, you can now show these different things. And once it's running, or done running, I'll pop it into self-service and show you again. So now if we come back here into self-service, I'm going to refresh. And when I refresh, there's a lot more things that are being offered now. We come down here, we have uninstallers. Here, if you have, we were talking earlier before about removing or getting off of Office 2011. That's one of the things we help you coordinate, but then, if need be, a user or an admin on the user's machine to be able to uninstall Office 2011 with a single click. If we come back up here to the Adobe products, before, all we had was the Creative Cloud Desktop application and Adobe Flash, and now we have access to installers for pretty much every CC 2017 application there is. If we click through, there's going to be a few more things that will show up that are available only to when you promote it, when you're essentially gone in what we call the Robot Cloud Admin access. And this is how we can use self-service to make things easier for both end users who work with the machine every day, as well as administrators, internal IT, technicians who are working on site, and have some separation between the two things so that someone doesn't accidentally do something or they don't have we don't give them the rights to do something because some of this stuff could be detrimental to how the machine's set up, but you do need those functionalities from time to time to do things.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jason.
Here, let me stop sharing so you can have it back.
Okay, share screen. I'm gonna go back into Google. And yeah, I would take advantage of this page. And if there's anything else that you'd like to see added to this page, or features that you'd like to see added to Robot Cloud, we have a feedback form, which I mentioned earlier when we were talking to Forget Computers, but it applies to Robot Cloud as well. We want your feedback to make Robot Cloud better. That's the only way we can make it better, because we live in our world. You may live in a world that's slightly different. You may need different tools. So please let us know. And speaking of tools, we are no longer supporting 10.6 Max. If you're running any 10.6 Max, which would be extremely old operating system, that's just something Jamf no longer supports. Is that right, Jason?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, and we would love to drop support for 10.7 and 10.8 in the near future, but technically those are still supported, not encouraged, but still supported. Okay, let's see. I want to mention all the way up to 10.13. 10.13, we mentioned is we don't recommend at this point. We've been testing it. We will continue to test it. Some of the big issues for IT in 10.13 are file vault related and Active Directory related. So Jason, I know those issues are both rather complex, and anyone can go online and Google them, but is there anything you want to add in regards to watch out for 10.13 when it comes to file vault and Active Directory?
Well, so essentially there are bugs related to Active Directory. There are bugs related to File Vault, and then there's a third set of bugs. It's a superset that's related specifically to File Vault and Active Directory accounts. And so there's the potential that Apple's going to work these things out. Hopefully they do. But right now you have issues with File Vault where recovery keys are not being properly issued. And so without the recovery key, in the event user forgets their password, loses their password, you can use the recovery key to unlock the disk. If that recovery key is not being properly issued, or it's not being properly escrowed in whatever service you're using, for us that would be Casper. If the user is no longer able to remember their password, then you could have the potential that you are permanently locked out of that machine. So that's one significant bug is the key escrow. Apple has changed a lot of how File Vault's interaction setup works with 10.13. Apple is leaning very hard on the GUI side of things, where the expectation, at least so far from Apple, is that if you're going to be setting up File Vault, you're going to be doing the GUI. There's going to be a user sitting at the machine clicking buttons and system preferences. Unfortunately with that, the automation that we do is through command line functions and API calls and things like that. And so until Apple updates 10.13 to work how previous versions of the operating system worked as far as command line calls and things like that, the automation is going to be harder. It looks like right now some of the things that are preventing automation are actual bugs. Apple, like this worked in the betas and then it stopped working at the release version, or it's always worked one particular way and now Apple has forgotten a new flag or something like that with 10.13. So the expectation is hopefully, with 10.13.1 or 10.13.2, Apple will revert tools to work the way that they used to, but we kind of have to wait and see right now. And then there are specific bugs that are related to Active Directory accounts where, for lack of a better term, it's pretty much mayhem as far as the, Active Directory accounts being able to properly unlock drives, Active Directory accounts being able to properly log into a 10.13 system, depending on your AD environment. It's kind of reverting things back to how it was with 10.7, years ago, and how well or not well it worked with Active Directory environments, especially after you had a stable release with 10.5 and with 10.6. So there is some, Apple's kind of reverted functionality, and hopefully they get it all addressed. There's 4 or 5 bugs that we're tracking right now that we're aware of, and there's probably other ones that we're not aware of yet.
Yeah. The key thing is test. Even if it works in our environment, you want to test it in your environment. So before you go rolling out anything to a mass number of machines, test on 1, 2, 3 make sure it works. And speaking of Active Directory, I want to put a plug in for Nomad, No More Active Directory. This is a great tool. I would encourage everyone to stop binding and instead use Nomad, and we can help roll that out through Robot Cloud. Lastly, I want to mention that something I mentioned at the beginning of the call. We are sponsoring the JNUC, the Jamf Nation User Conference. Jason and I are going to be there next week, along with a couple other team members. And if you're going to be at the JNUC, please reach out to us so we can meet up and say hi. And if you're not, just know that we're going to be learning as much as we can about the future of Mac OS X and all the Apple products, and of course Jamf, and how we can take advantage of all of that in Robot Cloud. And that wraps up this month's meeting. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next month. Bye.